What's up, everyone? This is Sarah.
And this is Evan.
And welcome to
Right to the Source. Listen, we all know creativity can be your best friend and worst enemy. On Right to the Source, we dive deep inside the minds of creative beings to find out how they do it. Today, let's find out how MNDR does it. So let it go and let's go right to the source.
We create a mental atmosphere.
Right to the source. Right to the source.
This episode's guest, MNDR, is not only one of our dearest friends and co-writers, but is a singer, songwriter, and record producer. That's right, a lady in the game producing those records, baby. MNDR was featured on Mark Ronson and the Business International's, is that right?
Yep.
Business International's single Bang Bang Bang, which peaked at number 6 on the UK chart, which is so amazing. She's been featured as an artist on tracks by such artists as Flume, Oliver, The Bird and the Bee, and many more.
Many more.
MNDR has also written and produced for other artists such as Charlie XCX, Rita Ora, Santi Gold, Kylie Minogue, Mike Snow, and many, many, many more. And she's toured around the world with her own music and as a keyboard player for Duran Duran, which is so epic.
I love that. That's my favorite. The Duran Duran stories are the best.
No, it's iconic. That is amazing. MNDR, we're so excited to have you as our guest and hear all about you and your process.
Yay!
Did you love that intro?
Yeah, I did. Thanks.
Were you like, oh my God, I'm sick?
So I know what I call you. Do you prefer if other people call you like Amanda, MNDR? Like if it wasn't us, would you be like, call me MNDR?
I mean, I call you Mandy.
You do call me Mandy. I'm really chill. I'm down for whatever. I think it's fun when people call me MNDR. So but I'm super chill.
I feel like that's just like your name as the legend that you are.
Yes.
You know, like Cher is really Sherilyn. So we can
Is it really?
Yeah,
God,
Sherilyn
that's so cool.
Sarkeesian.
Is it MNDR, Amanda? Is that your last name and your first name?
Yeah. It's like I combined them into one. And then when I was living in Oakland, I was doing like kind of in the mid-aughts, I went back to doing like IDM and minimal techno live, like DJing. I was kind of doing this weird project. And I wanted a name that didn't have like, it just had like gender neutrality.
I love that.
And that was graphical. I really love graphic and fonts. So as like what I enjoy to look at.
Because your logo's like your font's dope.
I work, the font is we work really hard on it. We have a graphic designer. It's a custom font. It's a little wrong. Everything's a little wrong with it.
Yeah. It's great.
So thank you. So that's sort of why.
Where it came from.
Yeah.
But it's Amanda Warner is your name, so it's like a mashup.
Amanda Warner.
Yeah.
Amanda Warner.
Munder. Are people like Munder?
Yeah, that one. Minder is
You get
always
Minder?
my favorite.
I love Minder.
Really in the UK, it's always like Minder.
And Minder's with us.
Yeah, no, I was like, no.
Did you have an artist name before MNDR?
Yeah, I've been in like a million bands.
But as Amanda Warner or as something else, like another
No.
pseudonym?
I had like a weird noise thing for like a hot second called Cave Bitch.
That's amazing.
Please bring back Cave Bitch one day.
Please.
She was short-lived. She burned hot and bright.
I love Cave. Did you ever have like a pseudonym?
Well, forever I wanted, when I was like 18, I was like, I'm changing my name to Star. And that was literally my name. I got it tattooed on my stomach, but then I started to hate it. So then I changed the tattoo into Starved.
That's fucking amazing.
Like I'm starved for attention or whatever.
I
I
love
was like, a needy teen.
I wish I would have known both of you when we were teens.
Same.
We would all have been friends, I feel like.
I feel like we all might have just like died together.
But I feel like you and I, Sarah, I feel like you and I, we've said this before, I feel like you and I were at the same parties.
1,000%.
And just didn't know.
1,000%.
So listen, before we start each podcast, before we like dig into everything, we like to start with a segment called Rose and a Thorn. Yes. Hit it, Sarah.
And you can sing along with us if you want.
A rose and a thorn, a rose and a thorn, a rose and a thorn.
Ow! Okay. That is amazing.
We wrote that, so don't be jealous. So a rose is basically something you're incredibly grateful for right now, like just something positive in your life at the moment. And a thorn is something that's literally a thorn in your side, and you need to let it go. Ooh. So we'll start with the rose because gratitude should always come first. And we'll end with the thorn so we can literally sage it away.
Okay.
And let it go. So let's start with everyone's rose. MNDR, you go first.
Okay.
Tell us about a rose in your life.
A rose in my life. I'm like something I'm really grateful for right now.
Yeah, or just, something that just is like, yes. It could be anything like coconut or anything.
I forgot the dog coconut. I thought you were just saying coconuts.
Or coconuts, literally. And like it could be your tongue because then you can like taste food.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the rose right now, this is going to be super corny and super topical.
There's no corny
whatever.
here.
There is no corny here.
I'm in the middle of finishing my next album, my second album, the follow-up to Fumi Diamonds, not promoting, just telling you this. And I'm like...
Please promote, by the way.
Through that point where you're like, this is shit, no one's going to like it, and it's an indulgent piece of shit, and like my friend and like two of my weird noise friends are going to think it's cool, and then everyone else is going to be like... And... I finally like let that feeling go, and I'm just like fully, and we're like at the 80 to 100% done space, and I like love it, and I just feel so grateful that I get to make music, and anyone cares at all. Like if two people care, I'm just like really
that's amazing,
and that's kind of where usually it's Coconut, I have to say, but like she's a little bit.
Coconut is Amanda's dog, by the way.
Yeah, it's usually
that's amazing. When it gets to the point of like you can see it coming into like view and you're like, yes, finally.
And like the idea I had for it is like clear. And I'm just grateful because you guys know what that's like when you're just like in the fog of it and you're just like, what? This is, and then whatever. So I'm happy I'm through at that part of making an album.
Why do we, and we probably can talk about this later, but like, why do we all just like shit talk ourselves in our process? And like, we're always, I mean, we all do it and we're all like, this sucks. Like, no one's going to like this. I'm a piece of shit. I'm like, I don't know. It's like our negative side is like always in play when you're a creator.
Ooh, the analyzer.
The dark
it's in
side.
There. It's just in my little apartment and my brain just
no.
What if you
just
mathing it out and just ruining it. And ruining all the fun.
I guess we have to make friends with our like analyzer maybe.
Just tell them to chill a little
bit.
Friends with the analyzer. I was going to say the analyzer sounds like the Prodigy song or something.
Here comes the analyzer. Okay, that's an amazing rose. Evan?
My rose, and it's so weird to say this because I know I've said this before, but completely different reasons. My rose is the human body.
Wow.
Because I broke a bone in my back, and very recently I was in a car accident and broke a bone in my back, and 2 weeks later I'm like moving around, and like honestly I thought like I'm pretty much canceling the rest of the year. And instead, like, you know, you guys know how much I love Halloween. So for me, I think maybe that was the motivation for my body to heal itself, was to like go to Halloween events.
Right, it's true.
I don't know, but like I just think it's so weird. Like the body just heals itself, and it's kind of like blowing my mind a little bit, like how the body does heal itself, and like how, you know, I was thinking about some of the things we've said on this podcast about how like like mindfulness and like how you like if you focus on certain things you could like change matter itself and etc. And so I was like really kind of like focusing on telling my body to heal itself.
Wow.
When I was laying in bed, I was like meditating and I was also like just being like thinking about where the pain was and being like heal that because I actually wanted to see if it would work. And now I'm not 100% sure that's what did it. Maybe the body just heals itself on its own, but maybe it contributed to it because I had a really positive outlook. Like I had these things coming up I really wanted to go to. And like my doctor, my family were all like, you have to cancel these things. And I was like, I'm going to these things.
Right.
So like, I think like in my mind, I was like dead set on my body being healed to go to these things. And like, it gave myself a reason to heal as opposed to just sitting there like wallowing in pain and suffering.
It's for sure.
It was like a mind over matter. It was a total mind over matter thing, or at least a combination of like typical body healing plus mind over matter.
Yeah.
But I honestly, if I told you 2 weeks ago I was just laying in bed and couldn't move, I couldn't even get up without someone helping me, you would never believe it because I'm bouncing around.
That's amazing.
So my rose is the human body, my human body, but the
and
human body.
Your mind, the human mind.
And the mind and the body.
Yes.
My rose is the mind and the body.
You should also
and you thought yours was corny. My rose is the mind and the body.
You should also take CBD. I don't know how.
I can't take CBD.
But it's not like a drug.
It just goes against goes against everything. I've had this conversation so many times.
Okay, fine.
But I like the idea you said about rubbing it on my skin.
Oh, I have the best cream.
It's topical.
That's different than me like ingesting it.
But it's not
to me like like eating it or like shooting it in my eyelids or snort. Can you snort CBD?
But it's not a psychotropic, so it doesn't get you high.
It's just weird to me to like ingest something. But I think maybe if I rubbed it on my skin, it would be different.
Yeah.
I think my rose. Go ahead, and I'm already to the.
Wow,
thorn.
you're just really on it, huh?
No, my rose is going to Disneyland on Wednesday.
Ugh. The Diz.
So I'm super stoked, and it's on Halloween. So I think
You're going on Halloween?
Yeah.
The Diz on Halloween.
God.
So I've never been to the Diz on Halloween.
Have you gone to the Haunted Mansion during Halloween?
No.
They turn it into Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah, see, so that's my fucking rose.
So we were fostering a kitten.
Oh.
And the kitten is sick. I know. Okay, so it's like awful. So all weekend long, this kitten would just stop eating and then was like throwing up and then like was like not doing well. So the kitten went to the vet today, and then the doctor at the vet miraculously said, "I'll take the kitten for a week and nurse the kitten back to health," which is a total rose, but. The kittens being sick are thorns.
It's just so
But
sad.
I would like to shout out the ASPCA and all the good that it does with having people foster animals. So shout out ASPCA.
Yes.
Definitely shouting that out.
Okay.
I have mine if you still need more time, or if you have yours.
Okay, I'll say mine.
Okay.
There's because life is loads of thorns. And I'm trying to it's just I mean, that's just life, and that's like how you handle those thorns. But
1000%.
this is like a thorn that I see and it's not a thorn in my side. It's more like at all. It's just like a sad I see in LA, especially like where I live and it's something that no matter like homelessness is like in LA is
so
like
bad.
Yeah, and I have this thing like where I'm just like that is something that you can just even if this homeless person has addiction issues in this, like they're probably hungry and you can
buy them food
or make them food. And so I've decided that I want like on the weekend whenever I'm feeling like what should I do? It's just like I'm just gonna make like a bunch of burritos and go around to the normal homeless people that I see in my neighborhood and just like give them something to eat. Because a lot of people are like, I don't want to give them money because they buy booze. I get that, but everyone needs like food. And I want to turn that into a rose because I just feel like those are problems that are right in front of your face, and you can sometimes making those sometimes I just think like those people's lives, like they're just invisible. They're invisible human beings.
Yeah.
So your thorn is not homelessness. Your thorn
Yeah.
is how other people are apathetic to the homelessness.
Yes, the apathy towards it, because it like, and I've been super apathetic towards it because it's not, I'm late to a session, you know, and you just think like, sometimes I think like people just need to be acknowledged that they're alive.
My thorn's kind of like a similar, it's a worldly thorn.
Okay.
But this party that I went to over the weekend, where I saw Evan there, was like an underwater ocean theme. But the beginning of it was walking through like the ocean, all the pollution.
Yeah.
How it is for these fishes and like creatures underwater. And it was so horrible and like sad to even think that is like the state of our ocean.
Oof.
And there was a foundation you could donate to, and I ended up looking it up over the weekend and like what it does and really how severe the problem is. And it makes like literally makes my heart break just for all of this like beautiful
it's
life.
Crazy. It's actually crazy because I'm kind of up on some of this stuff. Like the whole like ecosystem on the West Coast all the way up to like Canada, like all the algae is gone.
Oh my God. It's
like
just terrifying.
Coral reefs, like the Great Barrier Reef, dead, dying, like so much. And it's going, what it is then certain fish that rely on eating that stuff, they're going to die out. And like, I mean, it's crazy.
No, it's so
it's not even about like one thing affecting one thing. It's like it's a domino effect, and and then of course like the warmer water on top of it, and it's like different migrations. It's a whole mess.
I mean, and the ocean is such like a rose for me, so this is like a big time thorn. So
I think I'd like to sage that away and
let's do it.
And sick kittens.
Yeah,
And
any
sick
sick
kittens.
animals. Okay, Evan is lighting the sage.
Sage these away.
And here we go. We're saging them away. Yes.
I love this sage so
It's
much.
in real time production.
Yeah, it's real time.
Real time production.
How did that feel? I always feel like we need a double.
You want to do it again?
A double sage.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, one more time. It really feels good, those chimes.
They do.
My kitten's gonna be fine.
Okay.
Kitty. Pull through.
Kitty, this one's for you. And the ocean.
And the homeless.
And the homeless.
Okay, let's get to the good stuff.
Let's get to the goodies.
So take us back to your first memory of being creative.
Like literally first memory, like 5 years old or
not even music, just like
anything.
where did your creativity start?
It would literally be when I was like 4 or 5. So some of my first memories are so I grew up on a farm. My family are farmers in North Dakota, and my dad is an awesome musician. And I just remember sitting next to him, and he would be playing like, I don't know, like Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels or the Beach Boys or Billy Joel, like on the piano, and I would play the bass notes.
Wow.
Yeah. And
just from like, just you felt it, or were you taking lessons, or did he teach you, or you were just, it was by feeling?
He was showing me, and then I started lessons when I was like 4 or 5, piano lessons. So you just sort of remember like music in your household all the time. So we grew up I grew up super isolated, and when in our house, my dad like built, which was like 5 generations of my family lived there, and he built a music room in the basement.
Wow, 5 generations.
Yeah, I was a 5th. Yeah.
Do your parents still live there?
No, they moved.
Oh.
Yeah, they did.
Are you mad at them?
No. No. I was like happy. They're happy.
And then when did it start to sort of feel real for you? Like, okay, this is kind of more than just something I'm into.
You know what? It was like a part of my life. Like my parents I'm from the Midwest, and like my mom's a French Canadian descent, and my dad's Swedish and descent, and everyone's kind of Lutheran or Catholic. It's pretty standard Midwestern, and I just grew up playing in the church. Like it was just like part of life. And like, I kind of think in general, like it's very Scandinavian where I'm from. And it's not weird that I played music. Like everyone kind of played music. I think it might be a Scandinavian thing. I don't know. It's just like everyone, you learn an instrument. Like it was really common for people. Like I knew 3 instruments by the age of 12, but that was really common.
Amazing.
You know,
yeah,
it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't weird.
I just grew up in it.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, oh, this is what I'm doing. Like it never was a moment of like.
Yeah, there wasn't a like, and then I will. And like my dad had a band and his friends were over and they were playing all. It just was normal. It was just part of life.
And then, so when did you first know you were going to pursue it as like your life, your job? Like did you move? Did you try to make records there? Were you singing? Like how did it sort of like become your job?
Oh my God. That journey is so weird for anyone. I knew there wasn't anything I was like capable of doing. Like I just knew it. Like I just was like, yeah, that's what I do. And then when I was like 9, my dad gave me a bass. Like he was a bass player in his band. He's like, every band needs a good bass player. And he taught me how to play House of the Rising Sun. I remember that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, he's like, I was like, okay. And then let's do that. And then from there, I like have lived everywhere. So I was
where'd
kind
you
of a
move? Where'd you go first?
And what age?
At 18, when I graduated high school, I moved to Portland, Oregon. I lived there for a year, and then I lived in.
Why'd you go to Portland?
I went to school there for a year, college there for a year.
Reed?
Lewis and Clark and Reed, yeah.
I love Reed.
Yes, Reed.
Yes.
Reed in the 90s.
My dad went to Reed.
Oh my God,
so
of course he did.
I've been there, and I've like I love Portland. It's super cool city.
It's awesome.
So then you went to school there, and then
for a year.
And then where'd you go after that?
Minneapolis. I was in St. Paul for 5 years.
And why'd you go there?
The music scene there, I was like into, and
like Prince.
I mean, yeah, Prince, and then the local scene was really great. So I was like, this is cool, and I already knew people there, and I was playing in bands or already kind of, and. So I finished school there, and I studied upright bass with the principal of the Long Beach Orchestra out here, and then she moved to Minneapolis, and she was really great. And
were you playing music in Portland the year that you were there?
Yeah.
So were you in bands there as well, or were you?
I was in the college orchestra and.
Oh, that's tight. Do you have pictures of
jazz band? Yeah. And
I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
that might be my Rose.
And were you singing?
No,
then? You're just playing.
Here's a weird one. I didn't start singing till I always sang. My dad's a great singer, and I could sing. I sang in choir. I just did anything music, but like as far as like what people know me now, I didn't start till I was 30.
Really?
Yeah, like I was like a hired keyboardist or music director or bass player. And so
you were in bands as like a bass player or keyboard you weren't
player,
like
the
front singer in bands.
No, I had a band in Minneapolis where the guitar and bass player, we were both leads in it.
Right.
But yeah,
wow, I never knew that. That's so
and I sing pretty much backups in that band. I didn't. And I don't know, and not because I didn't like to sing. I don't know. I just was better at the other stuff.
And so then from Minneapolis.
Wait.
I like following this.
Yeah, so you're in St. Paul, and you're in bands. How did you find out about the music scene there? Like, what drew you to go from Portland to St. Paul?
I love Portland. I've lived there twice, but I don't like the rain.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
You prefer the snow and the ice.
I prefer the snow and the ice.
Seriously.
And honestly, I like the Minneapolis like noise scene, experimental scene, and punk scene was cooler, and I already knew people in it. So I was like super involved in like indie and punk and noise.
Had you visited or something?
Pre-internet. So try that on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, had you visited?
Oh, yeah.
And that's how you knew about it.
Yeah, and also, like, I live near Fargo. I didn't live in Fargo. I live about 45 miles north of there. And Fargo had an amazing grindcore, punk, like, drudge, like, Melvins-y type music scene that was
seldom known fact about Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah, actually, Fargo... Once Rolling Stone, it's their big claim, is Rolling Stone magazine named Ralph's Corner Bar, which is no longer there, the best punk bar to play in the U.S.
Wow, that's so crazy.
It was the only town, if you were touring from Minneapolis to Seattle, that you could stop and play.
Oh, right.
Got
of course.
it.
Yeah, and make money. You could do Missoula too, but it depended what time of year. Or
Boise?
Boise's, I love a Boise, but...
That's so interesting.
I love a Boise.
Because Minneapolis, I just immediately think of like funk and Prince and like that scene.
Yeah, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Yeah.
For how small of a city it is, it blows my mind that music, it's got a really huge spot. The Replacement, Soul Asylum, Babes in Toyland.
Wow.
You know, we will always claim grunge came from Minneapolis, which it did. You know, that
Not
music,
Seattle.
That music all influenced Seattle.
Yes,
Sorry, Seattle, you know it's the truth. But
yes, these factoids.
yeah, don't get me going.
Hashtag beef.
Don't get me going down that road because it gets real. Husker Du gets real for me. Real fucking quick.
Okay, so from Minneapolis, then where do you go?
Then I moved to Oakland.
And why?
I had a band in Minneapolis called Triangle, and I finished college. Our band did super well in Minneapolis. We were a local band, and then we got a record deal at an indie label out of Philadelphia, and then we were part of the like Harmar Superstar scene. So Sean lived like 2 blocks down from me. We've known each other we helped him make the first Harmar record.
Amazing.
And then. So we were on the scene, and that was getting some on the indie level. I mean, this is like pre-internet, you know? So like, what was that big music festival in New York? I can't remember, in the fall. It's like the South by Southwest of New York.
CMJ.
Yeah, the CMJ music festival. Like, it was like that level, zine.
I love a good CMJ.
Yeah, like record stores. And so.
But how did it bring you to Oakland?
Yeah, so then my bandmate and I were getting really into home recording. And at the time, like, it was just when you would be able to record on computers, like, just started. Like, everything didn't work. It was crazy. And I was like really into IDM. Sorry, I'm a huge nerd. So we were super into IDM, which was like a movement coming out of Berlin that was like an extension of like Aphex Twin and like Autechre and sound designy. And the area of the US that was really in that scene was Oakland, which like Hit 606 and Tiger Beat 6 and big techno.
So you had to go.
Yeah, I went there and I was weird a minute, but then it got real weird.
Like party wise, or
I just like lived in squats and flat and like warehouses. And I mean, I didn't have any money.
Right.
I've had like 35 jobs.
So you were just sort of like coasting around doing like the music grind.
Ugh, did the music grind. Yeah. Go.
Okay, sorry. Go ask your question.
Well, no, because you said you helped make the Harmar record.
Yeah.
And
like 2 songs on that.
So my question is this: so like you're in Portland.
Yeah.
You're playing in the college band, like your college band. Was that a college band?
Yeah, I had like a girl punk, very brief girl punk band called Madam Ovary.
Madam Ovary. That's amazing. Shit. I want that to be my name.
Are you personally writing the songs for Madam Ovary?
Kind of. I mean, we kind of all wrote them at the same time.
When did you first start writing songs?
Not until, I guess I wrote some in Triangle, but it was a different process. I guess like songwriting how we know it. Maybe how I've wrote songs with you, or
you're writing as a band. Jamming.
Yeah, like
you're writing parts or something.
Yeah, or just like my bands are always like psyche, krautrocky, weird.
How did you know how to do that though?
I literally was because another
like somebody's like, let's write a song, and you're like,
Just from
in your
your
mind,
gut.
you're like, I've never done this before, but yeah, sure, let's do it.
But like when you're in a band, you just sort of do what you feel,
like,
I guess.
We were really into like Can and Noi and like bands that were into psych, krautrock, like stuff, and like what Kraftwerk came out of. So the point of those bands was like exploration, and I had a jazz trio that was like semi-professional, and so I was.
Where is the jazz trio?
In St. Paul, Minneapolis.
And what were you
I think we need to create like a timeline or like a tree.
I see it on this little map, like
I love it,
and I'm like following
There's
it with
like
a
a
string.
lot of weird.
So wait, hold on. What were you playing in the jazz trio?
So when I went to school, I left piano behind because I love piano. I played piano a lot, but I didn't want to study it in college. And so I was playing bass, and I was like, I'll just do upright bass.
Sick.
And I was doing jazz in high school, but are you really doing jazz
upright
in high
bass
school?
player in the jazz trio?
Yeah, I was the bass player. I mean electric or upright, but mainly upright.
That's amazing. I love upright bass.
But a lot of improvisation, a lot of like
So no writing
fundamentals.
there. Like your first memories of like actual writing similar to the craft of songwriting is Triangle?
Similar to that. And then I would say like MNDR when I decided to quit doing noise and to make popular
in
music.
Oakland.
Yeah.
But wait, before we get to MNDR, so wait,
Yeah.
you're in Oakland, you're just on the grind, and then does MNDR come from that phase, or where are you?
So I'm in Oakland,
Mm-hmm.
and I was part of a lot of, so it's like early aughts, early aughts, 2003, 4, 5, 6. And we were starting like art gallery, sort of like commune type places. And so I was part of like Liminal, and I was part of Lobot Gallery.
Do all these places exist still?
They don't anymore, but they did. They were super vibrant, like centers of, and like honestly, a lot of the place that burned in Oakland, Ghost Ship, where I had like two friends. It was similar to Ghost Ship, like the RIP.
Is that like a living and artist sort of community?
Yeah, and then there's usually a gallery, and then you have like we would have like an artist come in and do a residency, and then do a big like art show, and then I was more on the music side, like having bands.
Kind of like what the brewery used to be. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, the in Oakland?
No, there was a brewery here in LA, downtown. I don't know if it's still going, but I used to go all the time when I was younger.
Did you do art as well? Were you like
No.
were you drawing? As well?
No, just music. And
So then when did you sort of start like singing, and then MNDR started happening, and then how did that come to fruition?
Triangle like got that project, which I love, and I still consider I do that project with a collaborator named Brian Tester, who still lives up there, and we made albums and toured a lot, and did like weirdly toured a lot with the Shins when they first started. So,
wow,
That's so cool.
I think I toured like maybe 2 years with them, maybe opening for them.
Wow.
Off and on for 2 years.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, they became really good friends and blah, blah, blah. And that band, I mean, I did that band like as my main focus of my life, like
Triangle
for 10 years.
Wow.
And then we had a lot of like excitement. Like every once in a while it would be like, we go to the UK and everyone is freaking out. We were kind of like 4AD-ish in sound designing, like This Mortal Coil, maybe that sort of thing. And like Dave Siddick from TV on the radio, I'd be like, I'm gonna produce the whole, we had those sort of moments, but it never seemed to work out, which was fine. So we were kind of psyche weird, Frank Zappi, Canny, whatever. And then that just kind of, we all needed a break, and I just was like, I just want to start making IDM and minimal techno again. So I had a Nord micromodular, and I would do these shows that were sort of like ravey and sort of like, I really love Chicago footwork, juke. I love juke. So I have a huge juke collection.
And then what? You just started singing?
One day, so then I had this other project called Zeroth, which I still do. We do art shows, a multimedia like feminist group. And super noise, super crazy, really awesome, did this. And then one day I just woke up, I was like, I've been making all this like outsider music my whole life, which is great. I love it. What if I just thought it'd be fun to be like, what if I just made super popular, like I make unpopular music. Why don't I make popular music more as just like, haha.
Right.
Like you're like almost like you're making
fun of it.
Oh,
no,
okay.
not making fun of it. Just like kind of, what if you just thought about life as that simple? Like, I do this, and what if I just did the exact opposite?
Right, I love
without
that.
an ego or judging it. I just was like...
As like an experiment?
I guess. I just like, I made this kind of music for this song, and the thing is, I always liked pop music. I always liked hip-hop and R&B and pop, and I was like, well, why don't I try to make this? It was like a challenge.
I love that.
So...
And then, so from you starting MNDR to your song with Mark Ronson, how far along was it? Like right away when you started making stuff? Did it kind of start popping off, or did it take a while, or how did it?
No, it was
transpire. Is that a word? Transpire.
Yeah. That's cool.
There was like a point during Triangle. Triangle got like one of those, like in the during the Yeah Yeah Yeahs in that era, we were kind of like almost there. Like we almost had that happen. Like we were in that zone a little bit, and we got a publishing deal out of that. And so I was doing this pop, but the kind of what I thought was pop music. I mean, it was really crazy, and I toured doing weird MNDR, which I know there's some people that bought CDRs from me because they hit me up and like, what about this song? Like,
amazing.
Yeah, which is funny. And then I just moved to New York. I like woke up one day and I just was like, I'm just going to move to New York.
Sick.
From Oakland.
Yeah. Like,
and why didn't you say I'm moving to LA? You're so close.
Because all the opportunities at that time were in New York for me. I would have rather have moved to LA.
You remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
I was
that.
probably there. I mean, I moved to New York in like 2003.
Also back when CMJ was super popping.
Yeah,
Totally.
CMJ. Yeah.
New York had a moment.
2009.
Right.
2008. I was so broke. I couldn't eat. I was sick all the time. It was awful.
I know.
Like,
trust.
I was so that broke. City was rough on me.
So broke in New York, and that's the worst.
It is the worst
to be broke.
I remember just public. I called it public crying. I just remember crying in public, just being because being broke in Oakland, I'd go like, let's go surfing or fuck everyone.
And the weather's good.
I didn't have shoes for fuck's sake.
Right.
And I just like lived in a magical Ewok village.
Brokeland.
Yeah, Brooklyn. I mean, I love.
I don't know if anybody's ever coined that before, but
Brokeland.
But
also Brooklyn, like Brooklyn.
Like Brooklyn, but
anyway.
Brooklyn, whatever.
Anyways, so
you're in New York. You're MNDRing.
I am, but what's weird is I moved there to be a producer, and I made like beats, and I was like, here are my beats.
That's so dope.
And
amazing.
I was like, I want to be a producer, and so, but my publisher would send me out and I didn't understand the difference between artist and songwriter and producer. So I would go to these sessions thinking my experience making music, collaborating was we just all here's a beat and I'll put some keyboards on it. But in those scenarios, the producer would go, are you an artist or a writer? And I would just always look at them and be like
both.
Because I would be like an artist. And in my mind, I'm like, you're an artist. I mean, you make stuff.
Right.
In the world of what it was a real what's on first, who's on second situation for me. Mm-hmm. And then I would just be like, why do these people want to make all the music? Mm-hmm. Like I remember just being like, this is dumb. Mm-hmm. But I was just like, whatever, get experience. And then
you were doing like sessions there then?
Yeah, but like normal. Like I'm the top as a writer or an artist. So I would say an artist and then they'd be like, well, what's your sound? And I would just be like, they would think I'm making an album for me. And they're like, what's your artist name? I'm like, oh, I'm MNDR. And I already had an underground like following.
Right.
Like Todd P. Because I put on the New York shows for the punk kids. So I was playing shows, but I wasn't like, I'm an artist and I'm going to do the art.
Right. You were just living it. You were
my
just
normal life, like how I did stuff. So it was very confusing for those early producers. I had no idea what the fuck was going on. But I met my long-term collaborator, Peter Wade, who got...
Shout out Peter Wade.
Who got what he got that I didn't know what the fuck this world was. And he took me seriously as a producer.
Amazing.
So
did you guys meet on a session?
Yeah. Yep. And he's like, play me your stuff. And they were all songs I'd made. And he's like, this is cool. Bounce me the parts out. And then all those songs became my first EP.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
Pretty much.
So he really was like collaborative with you, and you collaborated. And he respected you.
Was he in the room as a writer? Is that how you met him, or is like a producer, another producer?
Producer.
Oh, got it.
Producer. Right. Like in the role it was, but he could see that I didn't know what this world was.
Right.
And that he didn't think it was weird that I made beats or made tracks on Ableton. He didn't care. He thought that was cool. Or it wasn't even a fetish. He was like, oh, cool, yeah.
Right. I love that.
Everything that you did as far as like a creative thing. So like writing and then producing and then I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like it was all just kind of like a learning on the job necessity. It wasn't like, I want to be a producer. You were like, I need to figure out how to like make this music.
Yeah, and I had a lot, like my band Triangle. So my bandmate, not myself, Brian Tester wrote we were beta tested Ableton. So we were really involved with sound design and early software things, and we toured beta testing Ableton on the road, which was really interesting.
As like a live component?
Yeah. I knew, and my dad had like a very modest reel-to-reel 4-track, and I begged him to teach me how to multi-track record when I was 10.
Oh,
it was just a passion.
Yeah, I was
a
just
passion.
like 100% interested in it.
Right.
And I would collect gear when I could scrape together $100. I was pretty good at collecting gear. I was good in the gear market, so I always had like sequential circuits. I had all these drum machines, and then I'd sell that, and then I'd buy like an SH-101, and I knew how to record, I knew how to get sounds, and I knew how to do all that stuff, and I knew the foundations of that.
That's tight. You should teach
me. But I didn't know
sometime.
Pro Tools.
Right.
Well, as much as like I knew the fundamentals of it, but Pro Tools, you had to have hardware.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
And Peter is unbelievable at Pro Tools.
Right.
So I never seen an engineer at that level I'd never seen an engineer.
And that's almost
I was like a home recording person.
That's like the missing piece that you needed.
And he would always want to work with me, and I'd always want to work with him because I would watch him. And he would show me, I'd never worked with racks or patch bays so I was just like, saw this as an opportunity. Actually, my original thought was like, I could be his engineer and become a mix engineer.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And I would learn, and I would go in after hours, and I'd be like, could I make samples for you? I wanted to, because I couldn't touch Pro Tools before that. Pro Tools HD, there was a free version, but because it was expensive.
Wow. So you thought you would be a mix engineer. That's like a whole other, you're really like on the technical side of shit. I didn't know that you got this in deep.
Yeah. Honestly, like my goal was, my overarching goal in music was, I don't want to work another job. I just want to work in music. And
right.
I don't have like ego driven goals of like, I gotta fucking butt fuck everyone to the number one. Like,
yeah.
I want to, my goal and my passion was, I want to make a living making music or being part of that process. And
right.
That was my goal.
Not having like a job working at like a smoothie place.
I had done so much of that
totally.
Like as soon as I crossed over that line, I remember the day I crossed over that line, and I remember saying to myself, I'm like, I will never go back.
I'm right with
Fuck
you.
that. Never doing it ever. I will do whatever it takes. I will work 30 hours out of 24 hours a day. I will write I don't care.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
No, yes.
So I was like, I hated doing jobs. I had to like
hate it.
Suffer. Ugh.
It felt like prison.
Yes. It felt like a prison. I would just do whatever I could to whatever.
Anyways. I get it.
How did you, in those early days when you were like so dead set on not having a real job, and how did you find yourself were you creative all the time?
Yeah.
Like you were just like, I'm creative. I'm literally even when I sleep, like I'm just being creative.
Literally, I lived totally a get-free lifestyle. Like my house was one of the places I lived was Beige House, and there were constant rotation of interesting people staying there, and artists and musicians, and we lived communally, and if I had to work a job, I promised myself I would make as much music that day as I had to work a job.
That's amazing.
And I was super disciplined about that.
It's your 10,000 hours.
Because I was like, I think I just was like, if I'm going to get out of having to work a job, I'm going to have to be awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I'm going to have to just be like fucking Michael Jordan, which I'm absolutely not. But I was like, maybe I could squeak my way in because I can program a synth fast. I don't know.
Right.
Like, I'll do whatever. I just was like.
So you were on a mission to be creative at everything all at once to make sure that you could always be like useful in the room.
Yeah.
No matter what situation you were put into, you're like, I can be useful in this room.
Yeah. I feel like if someone needs a bass line, I can play it. But it wasn't like neurotic or full of anxiety. I more was just like, if I have to work a job, like, I think I would die if I didn't put that much time into my music.
Of course.
Yeah.
I would just be dead.
You needed the balance.
Yeah, I would just be, it was more of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you feel like having a job helped fuel your creativity?
Having a job was like to me, for some reason, in music, maybe in America, or maybe because we're in a competitive economy society, that for me, there has to be like a negative to overcome for me to hit those goals.
I feel that.
And I embrace the negative now.
It fuels you.
It really does, because being older in this industry is its own hill. Being a woman who's older in this industry is its own mountain. And
so how did you get to the moment of Bang, Bang, Bang? Because that song is so, I feel like that's such like a moment.
Yeah.
And what an amazing song. And Mark Ronson obviously is an incredible producer, artist. And how did you get to that moment?
Okay, so MNDR, the pop side that most people know, what I had put the music on MySpace that Peter and I made. And some I came in and we fixed those and he helped fix them, and some we wrote from scratch, blah, blah, blah. And out of nowhere, well, kind of like the Fader, and I think the Fader magazine is still super important, but I was also blogging. Peter encouraged me. He's like, you should blog about gear. You love gear more than I like have emotional love for music gear.
Wow.
And because like people's hearts and souls went into it, and you can hear it if you listen to how it works. So I would blog about gear and like weird stuff, and someone at the Fader found my MySpace, which was starting to go viral, which was weird. And they were songs that, in my mind, I wrote for Pitch, and Peter was like, yeah, they're Pitch songs. But he was like, these are her art, like she's an art. And I didn't know the difference. It was all confusing. Anyways, they hit me up and were like, we want to do a piece on you, but I didn't know what Fader was because I was into noise music. And I remember hitting up Peter. I was like, some place called the Fader wants to. And he was like, do that. You have to do that. That's a big deal. And I was like, and they want me to play CMJ, their Fader for it.
Oh, that's tight.
At that thing, at the Fader for it, Mark saw me, and had also they had told, he was making record collection, and they had told Mark about my project, and he listened to it. He had a radio show. He had a super amazing radio show. He doesn't have anymore. The Lower East Side on 1 and A. And he invited me to come on the show, but I didn't know who he was.
Right. That's so cool though. Like it's just.
And it was snowing, and I said no.
No, that's amazing.
So I lived in like shitty, deep Brooklyn, and I was like, literally was like, why does anyone fucking live here? You can't get like fresh food, and I'm broke, and I'm starving, and why would I go to the Lower East Side right now? It's a blizzard.
Oh my God, I love that.
And I looked him up, and I was like, oh, I know Amy Winehouse. And then P was like, Mark Ronson wants you to come into his radio show, and I was like, yeah, but he's like, no, you got to go to that. So I went.
So you've ended up saying yes then.
You said no, I went.
And then honestly, the fact that you said no was probably made him even more wanting to interview you.
And to be honest, it was his friend. It wasn't.
Okay.
It was whoever was Jack or whoever was
Got
interfacing that.
Got it.
So when I came in and then we met and he was super nice and he asked me if I wanted to write. And at the time, I just going to tell you this really honestly, I didn't understand why you would make music. To me, I thought, oh, he does Amy Winehouse and this. And I didn't. He was like, do you want to write on my music? And I was like, I just honestly was like, I don't know if I'll like it, but I can come and check it out.
Right.
Which was like, honestly,
I mean,
that's how I felt about everything. I was like, well, if I like it, then yeah, we'll make something great. But if I don't like it, then I just was really hippie weird.
I mean, that's like, dope. That's truth.
Yeah, it just was, it wasn't a smug or feeling like sucking my D at all. So I went to the Dap Kings studio and he played me what he was doing and I loved it because I was like, oh, you're like doing YMO and you're doing this like Dazzle Ships record that I love and you're touching on all these things I love and then that's where that came from.
That's amazing. And then from there, did that song sort of change things for you? Because it was a really big song. I mean, were you touring more? Were you putting out more records? Like, was it just a whole life change?
MNDR was already going on its own thing. And then I did that song and just a lot of time went by. And then I remember I was in like an 86 Chevy with a band called Weird Powers driving down to South by. And the van had no brakes. The band was fighting and like breaking up. It was fucking insane in there.
Oh my God. No brakes?
There were no fucking brakes. Like, and the gun explodes in Birmingham. Fucking, it was the worst.
Why were you with this band?
So in Oakland, I mustered together and bought like a sound system and mustered the money. I got the money together about it. So bands that were touring, I would call me and I would bring my sound system to whatever warehouse they were playing. So I was friends with them in the punk kind of scene, punkish, weirdo scene. So anyways, and then they were going down to South by and they're like, yeah, just come in with us and we'll tour down and do shows together. I was like, okay. And then he called me in the middle of that and he's like, MNDR. He always calls me MNDR. Would you mind if the song was my single? And I was like, no. I mean, if you want it to be your single. I just didn't understand. Right. I had no experience in mainstream music.
Right.
Other than, and at the same time, I also was working on the Yeah Yeahs It's Blitz live show for keyboards, bass, and guitar.
And you toured with them?
I didn't end up going on tour with them.
But you were working on the live show.
I built
rehearsing or?
Yeah, I built their keyboard setup and then I played bass. And I told them, and I love you, Nick and Karen and Brian, but I always feel really bad. I was like, I don't know if I'm not that great of a guitar player. And they're like, well, we think you can do it. And I was like, I'm going to tell you guys before I take this job, I'm not that good of a guitar. And I just really, but it worked out because MNDR was starting to really take off.
Yeah, like looking back
but they were like, you really can't do the guitar well enough to like headline Coachella with us. Like, wow. But it was cool to work with them for 2 months.
But the Ronson song comes out, blows up, and it engulfs your whole life.
Yeah, it blows up, and I had no idea what that means at any level, whatever. So that was kind of nice, and it was really enjoyable because I was super naive. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. It was like it was like someone asking you to go on like a light 15-minute jog, and you're just literally doing a mountain like marathon, and you have no idea.
But
in the
you
desert.
Probably were able to enjoy it then.
Yeah, I had a fucking blast. It would just, but Mark Ronson is like a brother to me. I love him. He is family. He is the nicest, most giving, most gracious, talented. Just, he's a wonderful human being. And he kind of knew. Had no idea what was going on. He was super nice.
So you had like no expectations or anything?
No expectations.
Were you able to stay creative during this process? Like, because it ate up a lot of your time, right?
Yeah, I had a lot of what became the MNDR album of Feed Me Diamonds done at that point. I think what was hard that I didn't understand that made it not enjoyable is that, and now where I'm at in the industry, I understand it more, that when you're like, Mark Ronson has developed Amy Winehouse. I'm just saying this humbly. I'm just saying this factually. Amy Winehouse and Lily Allen, and then you're the person that wrote and did on his big artist album, the industry wants to they descend upon you.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Which was great, but I didn't understand that in pop music they don't want you to make the songs you want to make.
Right.
So, and the album was, especially in that era, I'd say now it's very different, but in 2009 or 10.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I literally would take meetings and they're like, you can be Kesha or Lady Gaga.
Right. They didn't.
I mean, that was like also like Getta time. That was like Getta time.
Getta, yeah.
That was like,
Yeah, and the era, and I didn't even know that music very well, and I would just be like, so I would go in the meetings and be like, no, my album's just about done. I'm about done with it.
They're like, oh, no, it's not.
They're like once we get you in with DJ Pizza Face, it'll be done. You know.
I really wish there was a DJ Pizza Face.
Me too. I mean, maybe we
I love
could start
DJ
that.
Pizza Face. So that made it really fun, and I went through 3 managers. They made it no fun.
But you ended up putting out Feed Me Diamonds.
I did,
and it was mostly the music you had already had, or did you start doing sessions for it? Or
I did 98% of the album, just Pete and I.
Amazing.
And a couple of songs, and also with Patrick Berger.
Oh,
yeah.
Shout out Patrick.
Was great and
fun. That probably was really fun.
Yeah, and I really fought to make that album, but it didn't. It was hard to understand why I had to fight for it. I didn't understand that.
Right.
And now I understand more. But
I guess that ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, it was
feeling, you know.
It wasn't. I said, or I'd just be like, but why would you? I was like, it's already working. Why would we change it?
Right. It seems so logical, really.
I feel like there's like a innocence to making your first music.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then when you go back to make it again, you're like, you can't help but being a little bit jaded or like affected by it.
Totally.
A little bit, yeah.
It's like the second record curse or whatever they say.
It's the sophomoric slump.
So then when were you kind of writing for other, because you've written for Charlie, you've written for Rita, Kylie Minogue, all these people, like how did that sort of take on a life?
So when I moved to New York, I saw myself as a producer-songwriter. I was like, that'd be great. I love doing that. I'm like good at making music. And I was like, so becoming an artist, which I'm so grateful and fucking rad, I love it. I'm so grateful for it, was a happy accident.
Right.
So
so you kind of were always like producing, writing in that world for other people. Well, I guess sort of with your bands or...
No, we were really... I was like a hired bass player or touring or a thing or in a band that just made... But after the Feed Diamonds... Sandy happened in New York. The hurricane. And I was touring, finishing up the Feed Diamonds and Business International touring. And Sandy happened and it didn't flood the studio I worked out of, but the water table got so high in the Lower East Side that clean water just was seeping in. So we had to move out.
Wow.
And I said, I'm going to go to LA and write. It was winter and I'm just going to go there because that sucked. And I just want to leave New York for a while and just go to LA before my spring touring started.
So then you finally made the move.
When was that?
The end of 2012, beginning of 2013. And then I had one of those weird runs where like I would do like 2 a days and I was starting to get a lot of cuts.
And do you think like the MNDR success and the album just sort of got people interested as far as like wanting to bring you in as a writer?
Yeah, I think like I always have like, when I think of writers I know that didn't have like forward-facing careers that have just built these writing careers very successful. I'm like, that is fucking hard to do.
Right.
Because like now in hindsight, I knew at that time like I was able to get into sessions that were based on work I had done as an artist.
Right. Totally.
And I was like, I realized I got to like skip a
people were like,
steps.
I want to go in with the Feed Me Diamonds girl.
You're the Bang 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 Bang.
Right.
Bang Bang was still pretty recent, and Femi Diamonds was doing really well.
That's amazing.
So, or really well, I don't know, whatever it well is, but people knew it.
I love
some
that.
people did probably in the industry. But yeah, and then I was like, and then I worked a lot on Kylie Minogue's album at Rock Nation.
Yes, Queen Kylie.
Yeah, and then I'm a person that's like, if the river's flowing this way,
yeah, flow
just go with it. I just want to
baby.
make music, so I'm not like having a big existential crisis about it.
Totally. I mean, I feel
within
the
it.
same way of like, if you're a writer, if you're a producer, you are an artist, in my opinion. Like, it's all one thing to me.
Yes.
And it always has been. But I mean, I understand like artists being, oh, I want to tour and be in the spotlight and all this shit. But like, we are all artists, you know, in my opinion.
Very much so. Yeah.
Do you feel like you were just saying like, you know, like the river's flowing one way and whatnot? I feel like you've followed the river flowing one way or another your entire career. I mean, moving from city to city, you're kind of just like picking up these like almost like clues or like, you know, God shots, I guess, or something, right? Like where you're just like, you have this, you're just inspired to take this next step and then take this next step, which is also very brave. A lot of people never do that. A lot of people from North Dakota or even Minnesota stay in their small towns forever and never take that chance. And when the opportunity comes, or when this, you know, this challenge is ahead of them, and that they can like step into like the wilderness, literally. And they run from it. They recoil, and you charged into all of it. Because Sarah and I talk a lot about spirituality. Yeah. You know, and we're always kind of like talking to each other about how much that plays a part in our lives and other people's lives. We also have a segment where we like to dive into people's daily practices of spirituality. It's called The Daily. Yes. So we're going to do that right now.
The Daily.
Yes.
Do you have anything that you do that's like a spiritual or creative, like any kind of practice on a daily basis that helps you like foster your creativity and foster your growth? Like, how do you get up for the big game?
Yeah. So I kind of go through different patterns of things I'll do. My body and my energy likes to be extremely physical. Like, I like to do extremely challenging physical things. I don't know why.
You need to release that energy.
Yes.
Probably.
Yeah. It's like a thing with me. So I usually, no matter what time I go to bed, I wake up at the exact same time every day.
What? I'm scared.
It's going to make people barf. Should I just be totally...
Is it like
It's not going to make me barf. It'll make Sarah barf.
It'll make me barf.
You know what time it is. I'm at
What
6:40 every morning.
What? You guys are insane.
Even if I go to bed at 3.
That. I woke up at 6:30 today.
Yeah.
Just naturally on my own.
I know.
I just fight it.
My dog. I wake up at 6:30. My dog looks at me and is like, "Are you kidding? Are you kidding?"
Funny.
When your dog looks at you,
and is like, literally is like, "Are you kidding?" It looks at me and then like plops its head back down.
Yes.
So that's amazing though. So what? You go running? You go
running, or I go like just do something extremely physical. And I try to do that every day, and then so that there's that. Sometimes I'll go through meditation times, and then sometimes I really, my meditation is the physicality, like is being extremely physical. Like, I'm going to go pick rocks. Like, I'm going to go move all these pavers. Like, I don't know why. I'm really weird.
Do you feel like grounded? Like, do you feel connected to like the earth?
No.
Because really?
Kind of, but I also like.
Do you feel more like in the cosmos?
Yeah. Or I don't know. I just feel like I can space out real easy.
Because you astral project. We've talked about that before.
We have to have Mandy.
Because it's so funny because Sammy, my husband, he goes into these like staring K-holes, like where he'll just be like, and I'll be talking like, and he'll just be in this thing and I'll be like, hello. And Amanda does it too. And I'm like, they fully astral project. Like
Where
they just go.
What does that mean?
They just go off into like a zone. So you don't have to get too into it, but we kind of touched on it. But as far as like a connection goes. Are you a God person? Are you not religious at all? Do you feel like, because I feel I'm not religious at all, but I feel very like spiritual and connected to something bigger than me. But I do feel there are those moments in, say, writing a song where I'm in the room, I'm in my brain, and I'm writing from my like earthly brain. And then there's the moments where I just feel I like get beamed something, and it's just like boop, and like comes out of me, and I'm like, holy shit, that was dope. I have nothing to do with that in a weird way. I don't know. And that to me is like God or whatever you want to call it, like some kind of connection. Like where are you in all of that? Or are you like an atheist? Or what's your spiritual vibe?
I ask to be really clear spiritually.
Like before, a channel, you mean?
Yeah, before everything I do creative. Like just like whatever I'm supposed to do here, just help me do it as well as it's supposed to be done, or it which sounds hippie dips, but
no, that's amazing.
That's kind of how I approach it.
I think that is a version of just like that's what your spirituality like is you're just clearing yourself to be a channel for whatever it is, something bigger than you, universe, a light, whatever.
Yeah, or like, and I usually like have a visceral reaction if I think we're on the right, like my hair will stand up when I feel like, oh, this is great.
I love that.
Which is cool. I kind of just listen to that, but
I love that.
But sometimes it is like quite mathy to be quiet. And then those are like, I get headaches at those.
Same. And I'm like, is this even good? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing really.
I'm like, I have to rhyme this word. No. Like, and it's just like.
And the cadence.
And the phrasing. But I wanted to say, like, sometimes to get ready to be creative, I listen to like some of my favorite music that I've always loved.
Which is?
It'll rotate. Like right now I'm in a deep, if you've been following my Instagram story, I'm in a deep Robert Smith zone right now.
It's weird. Like I feel like
obsessed with him.
Really similar to you in the sense of like I get like these obsessions. Like actually right now, which is very, very bizarre, I'm obsessed with this song by Elton John called Sacrifice, which came out in like 2003 or something. I don't know when it came out. But I am...
Is that your G-Nug?
No. Okay. But I'm possessed by it. Like I've been listening to it every day. Like I don't know why. I'm just in this Elton zone.
That's awesome. What a great zone.
I do the same thing. I just blast music like in the morning. It just makes me feel that I love, which is usually older.
So you don't do, this is actually a good question because like you don't listen to, like if you have a session that day, you don't listen to stuff that's going to inspire you specifically for that session. You look at something that's going to like actually inspire you creatively.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like not like, oh, I'm going with this artist. Let me go listen to their music. It's like, I don't care what music they've done or what they're listening to. I'm just going to listen to something that's going to like turn the key inside me creatively.
Yes.
It's going to like activate my creativity.
I literally feel, and like we've written a million songs together. Like before you see me, I'm usually listening to like the Pixies or like Donovan or Pink Floyd. I don't know, techno. I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever I'm into that day.
Do you make playlists for different?
Yeah. You know when you feel like the words are, if you're doing lyric and like maybe words are hard to find, I'll like listen to my favorite like Tribe records or whatever, and I'll listen to the cadences and like try to not re-lyric them, but try to like I'll free write to their cadence.
That's cool.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Especially Tribe. I've taken a few Tribe cadences and flipped them myself.
I love that.
Because it sort of gets your mind in that space of where the words should be. And also like, because I've been doing more of that lately, like writing with really good writers and learning.
The only thing bummer to me is if I'm like, I'm like on like a 90s hip hop kick going to like a session and then like I run in and they're like, let's do a ballad. And you're like, that's not where my head's at right now.
It's so funny.
I did not roll up here listening to Celine Dion.
No, I just listen to like a lot of older stuff to get inspired. And I do
to feel it like here and here.
Yeah.
For me, it's 80s pop and 90s hip hop.
Yes.
Oh God, that is
that
just,
unlocks the most creativity inside me.
Like, do you feel
Same.
it in your heart and your stomach?
Yes.
If I feel
And then
it
I get
there,
angry,
yeah.
and then I go into a session, and they're like, "Yeah, let's do something that sounds nothing like any of it," and I'm like, oh, "How did that help me?"
Yeah, but at least it puts you in an inspired
Yeah,
zone.
no, I'm inspired.
Yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
open. I'm like open.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so before we end each episode, we go to the very popular segment, Golden Nuggets.
Ooh.
Golden Nuggets.
It is a very popular segment.
Sarah, what's a Golden Nugget? What's a G-Nug?
Ooh, that was a cool addition to our theme. So Golden Nuggets is a segment where Evan, myself, and our guest, MNDR, are each asked to bring in or recommend to our listeners something that inspires us and helps our creative process or quiets our mind, fosters our growth in some way, etc. A tool that we love to utilize in connecting with our creative self. It can be a book, a meditation, a workout, a crystal, a poem, etc. So I guess I'll start.
You start.
My golden nugget today is I just went to this retreat called Hoffman, the Hoffman Institute.
Was that awesome?
It was the most life-changing, like transformative.
Should I do it?
I was so excited for you
Yes.
to pick this as your Golden Nugget because I like wanted to know all about it.
It has to just be my golden nugget. I mean,
I read online while you were there because I was like, what is it? Like, my family's gone. Sarah's there. Like, what? I was reading about it. And I was like, I'm just going to have Sarah explain it when she gets back.
it's okay. So 8 days, no cell phone, no computer, no TV, no books, no outside stimulant, basically. And you're there with like 30, 35 people. It's in Napa. They're all over. They're all over the world. It was created by this guy, Bob Hoffman. And the best way to describe it is an energetic release of your negative patterns, any trauma, any childhood shit, any negative patterns you've adopted from your family, your parents, your in life, situational, whatever it is. It's like an energetic release, meaning you release it like physically, spiritually. It's meditation, it's visualizations, there's elements of therapy, there's creative elements. I mean, it's back to back, filled with just things that transform your life. I swear to God, it was the best thing I've ever done. I haven't cried that much, laughed that much. The anger I had, like all of it. And I've been in therapy. I'm 38. I've been in therapy since I was 13. I've talked a lot about like my issues and whatever. This was like in 1 week, 5 years of therapy and just like this release it's just unexplainable. I can't even explain it.
But you're with strangers. Did you feel safe?
Okay, so you're with strangers, but here's the craziest thing. You don't say what you do, which is so
They specifically
unbelievable.
tell you, do not say what you do.
You cannot say what you do. So you're there with people on the equal level of you're equal with these people. You're just like going through this process together. And I'm telling you, I feel closer to a handful of these people that I do to a lot of people in my life that I've known for 20 years. Like there's people that I walked away with, friendships that I'll have them in my life for the rest of my life. Just what you go through there together is so transformative. And I just can't talk enough about how incredible it is. And actually, I really am interested in maybe doing like teacher training and being like a teacher there. I mean, it takes years and I don't know when I would do it, but it's something that I really want to do. It takes 2 years to get it. But anyway, so I don't know. I just feel like, and it's one of the biggest things for me was judgment. Like, we don't realize how much we judge. And like, even being in LA, being in the music industry, being in just like life, you're just like, judgment is so huge. And so like, I walked in there and I was like, the first day, I'm like, well, she's a bitch. She's probably, cheating on her husband. He's an asshole. He's the womanizer. And I just had them pegged. Like my mind just went to judgment. And by the end of the week, I was like, how can you possibly judge anybody? You don't know their stories. You don't know their pain. Like, and I had them all wrong. Like these people, I had them all wrong. Like I don't know them, you know, and what they've been through. And anyway, it's just, I think if everybody can go, I think everybody should go. I think it should be like a requirement for being like a human being.
Wow.
It's so amazing.
They probably have to make it cheaper.
Well, there's, well, I mean, I get that, but there's a scholarship program. There's, you know, there's discounts for teachers and therapists and anyway, whatever. But it was worth every single penny.
It says online, like you like have a peer group, and then you'll probably end up being friends with that peer group and stay friends with them for a long time and all that stuff. You feel that really happened. I feel very close to all of them. It was like 32 people or 35 or something. But there's about 4 people that I just feel are like my family after 8 days. And I've been talking to them on the daily. Like I will talk to them and know them and be friends with them for the rest of my life. Like I have such an intense bond with them after 8 days. It's like crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, but so that's my golden nugget is this place. Look into it. Just research.
We'll post about it too.
Yeah,
we'll post a picture and a link.
And I've been to a couple like retreats like this, like therapy retreats, whatever. This is just hands down the best thing I've ever been to.
I want to do Hoffman.
I want to do Hoffman.
I thought about you there because I know your family has been.
We were talking about it with Sammy and my parents.
And Sammy's been too, which was really cool because we can kind of speak like the similar language now, you know, of things we learned there. But you just have to go, all of you. I mean, everybody.
I tend to be someone who wakes up with anxiety in the morning. Mm-hmm. I'm like a morning anxiety person, but I know a lot of people in my life who are nighttime anxiety people. And for the times that I do have anxiety or like I can't shut off and end up going to bed right away from like work, like I work right until I fall asleep sometimes because I have like anxiety at night and then my dreams are all fucked up. And then I wake up the next day like I haven't slept at all. And it just is like this terrible cycle. And then I have anxiety again in the morning. So I was talking about it recently in a writing session, and this producer in London, Ben from TMS, you know TMS?
Yeah.
He said he gave me this like advice that he does, and so I've been doing it, and it actually has been working, and it's really cool, and it's actually really simple. But I wrote it down because I was like, oh my god, I love this, I'm gonna try it, and then I tried it, and I'm like, wow, this really works. I lay in bed, and before I go to bed, I picture people I love laughing. I think about all the people I love in my life, and I think about moments that I've shared laughter with them, and that's like the last thought I think about before I go to bed.
That's amazing.
And so I was like, this is not like a conventional golden nugget, like where it's like I like a crystal I bought or something like that. Like this is someone told me, like something amazing that they do to decrease the anxiety because they have nighttime anxiety. And so I've been trying it anytime I have nighttime anxiety, which isn't all the time. I've been doing it, but it also helps me sleep better. Like I go to bed with these happy thoughts, I dream better. And then when I wake up in the morning, I have less anxiety.
Wow.
So it actually rubs off on me in the morning.
Amazing.
It's pretty cool. So that's my golden nugget is Ben from TMS. Picture people I love laughing before I go to bed.
That's so cool.
A good one.
I'm going to try that tonight.
Yeah. It's good.
I love that.
I actually end up, when I do it, I end up laughing too. Like I smile.
Oh.
Like it like makes, because I think about these times and I'm like, oh my God, that was so funny.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's mine.
That's a very cool nug.
That's my G-nug.
MNDR, what's your golden nugget?
I produced a song by this band in New York called Make Out. And they were just this awesome, it was a girl and a dude. And their songs were just like fucking awesome, hooky, punk, cool songs. And they're really short. They were like 1:45, 2 minutes. And they hit me up to produce one of the songs, two of their songs. And one of the songs was called You Can't Be Friends with Everyone. And it just goes, because you can't be friends with everyone. And I just thought that was like the funniest, most awesome, like full of wisdom statement. And to me, it's a metaphor for everything. You can't be an expert at fucking making drums. Like when I work with Peter, guess what? I can make drums, but guess who makes drums really well? Pete. Like, let's play to our strengths, you know? Or even in like situations where I think I am someone that wants to be friends with everyone and little accept me, you know, or whatever. And that is also part of being in the creative industry. A lot of people's personalities are that. And you can realize, oh, you can't be friends with everyone, but that doesn't mean you can't have like a lovely experience together at the time. But it doesn't mean.
No, I think that line is genius. You can't be friends with everyone.
And whenever I feel insecure or like, I guess insecure or like, I don't know what I'm doing or I feel out of place or this person's so great at this and I suck. How am I going to keep up or whatever? I just think of that song.
That's the golden nugget.
It makes me laugh.
That song.
Is that song released?
Yeah.
Oh, you can.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not plugging it at all.
We're posting that song for sure.
Yeah, no, that's what we're posting.
This is a song. The golden nugget is everyone, when you feel like you don't know what to do or you feel like you have to be everything to everyone, listen to this song.
Yeah.
You can't be friends with everyone by Make Out.
Yeah.
Like on that note, I'm going to close it out.
Okay.
Thank you, MNDR Amanda, Mandy Minder, for being our guest and letting us into your creative process and your spiritual process.
Thank you.
Where can everyone find you online if they want to follow what you're up to?
Okay. So you can go to my website, MNDR.com, sign up on my mailing list. Obviously, Spotify, MNDR, I'm verified. Whatever, then you got to say that now. And then Twitter, Instagram, I'm MNDR_official. Twitter, I'm MNDR. But my mailing list, it's the info, it's what's going on, and I don't spam. That's a great way. And obviously, Instagram, any of those things. And I'm finishing up my second album.
And you can find us at righttothesource.com or on our Instagram at righttothesource. We'll have our guests' daily routines and golden nuggets up on our site if you want to check them out. Also, you can subscribe to our podcast through our website or any platform you listen to podcasts on. And don't forget to review us and upvote us and tell everybody you love us.
Please love us.
And yeah.
MNDR. Minder, which is my new favorite name for you, actually. Yes. Thank you so much for being our amazing guest. And thanks everyone for tuning in and listening. So I always, I read tarot cards and I always pull a card for our guest.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, I know you read tarot, but
I pull a card that inspires, that I feel is inspired by our guest. So for you, I pulled the Empress. Because she is just so grounded in her authenticity and her power. And she's a strong, beautiful woman who is just expressing herself and her true nature. And that reminds me of you.
Oh.
So you're our little Empress.
Sweet. I love that.
So thank you again. Yeah. And don't forget, everybody, when you're being creative and you want to connect, let it go and let's go right to the source.